Get arrested, and the police can't just scroll through your phone. The Supreme Court said so, unanimously. But your car? That's a completely different story. For about a century, the law has let police search your vehicle without a warrant, sometimes right there on the side of the road. Here's what the law actually says about your car, your rights, and exactly where that police power stops. Start with the same place we always start, the Fourth Amendment. It's the part of the Constitution that protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. And the default rule is simple. Before the government searches you, your home, or your stuff, it usually needs a warrant, written permission from a judge. So, why doesn't that protect your car the same way it protects your phone or your house? Because of one of the oldest exceptions in American law, the automobile exception. It says police can search a vehicle without a warrant, as long as they have a good enough reason first. And it goes all the way back to 1925. The case was Carroll versus United States during Prohibition. Federal agents suspected two men of running bootleg liquor in their car. They stopped the car, searched it, and found bottles hidden in the seats. No warrant. The Supreme Court said that search was legal, and in doing so, it created a rule we still live under today. The court's logic was about one thing. A car has wheels. A house sits still. Police have time to go get a warrant, but a car can be driven away and gone before a judge ever signs anything. Think of it like a fish on a line. Wait too long to reel it in, and it's gone. The court decided the law couldn't afford that wait. Later cases added a second reason too. Courts say you have a lower expectation of privacy in a car than in your home. It travels on public roads in plain view with windows all around. It's just not the same private space as your bedroom, so the protection is real, but it's thinner. But here's the catch, and it's the whole ballgame. The automobile exception does not mean police can search any car, anytime, for any reason. They still need probable cause, a real, fact-based reason to believe there's evidence of a crime inside. Probable cause is more than a hunch, and more than a feeling. You looked nervous isn't enough. You were driving through a bad neighborhood isn't enough. It has to be specific facts an officer can point to and explain to a judge later. So, what does count? Something in plain view, a gun on the seat, drugs on the dashboard. If an officer can already see it legally, that's a reason. The smell of something illegal, an admission, a tip that checks out. Any of those can add up to probable cause. Now, once police have probable cause, how much of the car can they search? The answer surprises people. Anywhere the evidence could reasonably be. Probable cause to believe there are drugs in the car? Then they can open the glove box, the trunk, a backpack on the seat, a bag in the back, any container big enough to hold what they're looking for. Think of probable cause as a key that fits every lock in the car big enough to hide the thing they're after. So, it sounds like probable cause is a magic wand. It isn't. The reason has to match the search. Probable cause to believe you've got a stolen television in the trunk does not let an officer search your wallet. A wallet can't hold a TV. The scope of the search is tied to what they're actually looking for. Now here's where people get confused. Searching a car during a traffic stop is one thing. Getting arrested is another. When you're arrested, there's a separate rule that lets police search you and your immediate area. It's called a search incident to arrest. For years, police used that to search the whole car anytime they arrested a driver. But in 2009, in Arizona versus Gant, the Supreme Court reined that in. Now, after an arrest, they can only search the passenger area if you could actually reach it, or if it's reasonable to think there's evidence of the crime you were arrested for inside. So, an arrest by itself is not a free pass to tear the car apart. If you're handcuffed in the back of a squad car, you can't reach anything, so that particular justification usually disappears. Police would need probable cause, or another exception, to keep going. Let's talk about the everyday version of all this. The traffic stop. You get pulled over for speeding. That stop has a purpose, the ticket. And here's a rule that matters a lot. The stop is supposed to last only as long as that purpose takes. In 2015, in Rodriguez versus United States, the court said police can't drag out a stop just to go fishing. An officer finished writing a warning, then made the driver wait for a drug-sniffing dog. The court said no. You can't extend the stop for that without reasonable suspicion. a specific reason to think something more is going on. Now, a dog sniff itself is a strange corner of the law. Back in 2005, the court said walking a dog around the outside of your car during a stop that's already happening isn't a search at all, but, and this is the Rodriguez point, they can't hold you there extra time to make it happen. The clock still rules. A few smaller powers surprise people. During a lawful stop, an officer can order the driver to step out of the car. The Supreme Court okayed that for officer safety back in 1977. 20 years later, the court said the same goes for passengers. Stepping out isn't a search. It's just where the law lets them position you. And if an officer has a reasonable, specific fear that you could grab a weapon, they can do a quick protective check of the areas you could reach. It's narrow. It's about weapons and safety, not a full rummage. Same idea as a pat-down applied to the car. But here is the single most important thing in this entire video. Most car searches don't happen because of probable cause. They happen because the driver says yes. Mind if I take a look? Is a question. And the whole reason an officer asks is that, without a warrant or probable cause, they need your permission. You are allowed to say no. The sentence to no is calm and simple. I do not consent to a search. Saying it is not an admission of guilt, and it's not illegal. It just makes the officer rely on the actual law instead of your permission. Whether they can search anyway depends on everything we just covered. Now, here's a twist almost nobody expects. And it shows exactly where the car exception stops. What if your car is parked in your own driveway? In 2018, in Collins versus Virginia, the Supreme Court said the automobile exception does not reach a vehicle parked in the protected ground right around your home, like your driveway. Why? Because the ground around your home gets the home's stronger protection. Step your car off the public road and up next to your house, and it crosses an invisible line. Back into the space the Fourth Amendment guards most fiercely. On the highway, thin protection. In your driveway, the house's shield extends over it. And remember the phone. Say police lawfully search your car and find your phone sitting in the cup holder. Can they scroll through it? Here courts have leaned on Riley, the case from before. The car is fair game with probable cause, but courts treat the phone's digital contents differently, and reaching them generally still takes its own warrant. Your car is not your phone, even when your phone is in your car. One more common situation. Your car gets towed and impounded. Police are allowed to make a list of what's inside, an inventory search, to protect your property and themselves. It's not supposed to be a hunt for evidence, but things found during a proper inventory can still be used. Here's a live, changing corner worth knowing. For decades, the smell of marijuana alone was treated as clear probable cause to search a car. But in states that have legalized it, some courts are now questioning that. Because if the substance is legal, the smell may no longer prove a crime. It's genuinely unsettled, and it can depend on which state you're in. So, what happens if the police search your car illegally? No warrant, no probable cause, no real exception? Usually the evidence gets thrown out. It's called the exclusionary rule. Break the rules of the search, and prosecutors generally can't use what it found. That's what gives all of this teeth. So here's the bottom line. Your car gets less protection than your home or your phone. A century-old rule says police can search it without a warrant, but only with probable cause. An arrest alone isn't enough. A stop can't be stretched to go fishing. Your driveway pulls it back under the home's shield. And consent hands the whole thing away. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Police need a real reason, not a hunch. You can always say, I do not consent. And the phone in your pocket keeps its own, stronger protection. Know your default, know your rights. Now you know.